All right, doctors, are you showing up as your star player? Or are you showing up as your excuse monster? That's what we're going to talk about today. While my practice was under construction, I was in the field. I was meeting attorneys. I was knocking on doors of 1,000 people, whether it was residences or businesses in concentric circles around my newly constructed practice. I was knocking on doors. I was taking a survey, mailed them all a thank you note. A week before my practice was open, I mailed them a grand opening letter. So on day one in that practice, because I marketed before I opened, I had a room full of patients, and I started in month one in the black. I didn't put myself behind the 8 ball by opening and then start marketing and stressing out about patients. I started marketing before I was open. I showed up as my star player, right? Because that's what a star franchise player would do. They're going to show up an hour before practice. They get to the training facility an hour and start work. They leave an hour late. They take more snaps. They take more free throws. They help the other players by doing what's necessary to be a winner. They show up as their star player. And that's what I did. I didn't know I was doing that at the time because I hired a coach. I hired a consultant who had already done it before successfully and said, just do it, just do this because this is successful. And I did. And it was successful. And I sold that practice in 2 years. Are you showing up as your star player, or are you showing up as the excuse monster in your personal injury practice? I just heard a podcast where Michael Irvin, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was talking about this. Whereas, you can listen to the king or you can listen to the child in your mind, right? You have this king mind and then this child mind. Well, you have your star franchise player mind, and then you have this excuse monster mind, or maybe the angel and the devil on your shoulder. I don't like using angel, devil, religious imagery. Doesn't turn everybody on. I don't like it either. So we're going to go with star player and excuse monster. Who are you showing up as in your practice? Right? Are you showing up as the excuse monster? Right? Think of the excuse monster as his little pet. He's your excuse monster. And you don't want to upset him. So you continually make excuses as to why your business isn't growing. Your staff isn't happy. You're not creating any more relationships. Well, attorneys don't want to work with me. Chiropractors killed the case. I'm not good enough. An attorney told me that they don't want to deal with chiropractors. You're listening to one attorney, right? You base an entire business plan over what one person says. Not a great way to grow a business. What do 30 attorneys say? Get some more data. Show up as your star player. So what do I really mean by that? Well, let me just tell it to you like this. So my son, who is now a freshman and in college, has worked out elite level hockey player his entire elementary, junior high, high school career. The guy was conditioned to exercise and work out and, work on his physical body to be good at hockey because he was a star player. Well, when he got to college, he decided that he was going to take a break from hockey and just be a student and make good grades and be a student. But what happened? He dropped his working out. And working out is not only good for your physical body, but it's also good for your mental body. It releases those endorphins and those chemicals that make you feel good, help you sleep better, help you digest your food better. It's just so many health benefits to working out. And I told him, I said, boy, you got two minds. You got your star player mind, your all-pro star player, and then you got your excuse monster. Well, Dad, some days I don't have enough time. I go, that's the excuse monster talking. The star player is going to tell you, schedule it like a class. Because if you schedule it like a class, you'll show up. The excuse monster will say, hey, man, you good. You worked out yesterday. You look great in the mirror. You worked out 2 days ago, man. You good. You don't got to do that. You're tired. Go get something to eat. You're hungry. That's what the excuse monster is saying. But the star in player goes to the gym because he knows that the long-term effects of repetitious workouts, every other day, 3, 4, 5 times a week, creates a compound effect of benefits when you do it with consistency. So who are you listening to in your practice, right? Are you listening to the excuse monster? Well, this attorney told me that, he doesn't send to chiropractors, so I'm just not going to do anything. Or I tried this and I tried that, or before the pandemic and that doesn't work anymore. Or you got to tap into your star player. What would your star player do? It's not who you are in the practice. It's who do you need to become in your practice. You need to become the star player of your practice. The one that reaches out to attorneys every day. The one that gets on Zoom calls, has lunches with attorneys, talks to the appropriate person in urgent cares, the one that networks with primary care doctors and general practitioners to get their personal injury patients, the one that networks with orthopedic surgeons, neurologists, interventional pain docs. Because I'm going to tell you a secret. Attorneys hate to quarterback the case. They don't want to find a neurologist or an interventional pain. They want you to handle that. They want you to quarterback the case. They want you to be their star player. And if you can't get their client out of pain and their client is still having complications, they want you to quarterback the case and send it to the appropriate provider if they have a viable case. And communicate with the attorney. Hey, man, I worked with your client for about 45 days. Still not seeing the results that I'd like at this phase of care. I'd like to make a referral to an interventional pain doctor. Do you work with Dr. Smith, Dr. Jones, or Dr. Lawrence? I'd like to send them to one of those guys. Because the reason that you do that, now you're their star player. Man, this guy reached out to me knowing, I'm so glad he did, because I hate Dr. Lawrence. I don't want to deal with Dr. Lawrence. Dr. Lawrence never gets his records to me. He never picks up the phone. I have no idea what's going on with my client. So I want to send them to either Dr. Smith or Dr. Jones. I don't care who, Dr. Slater, you take care of it, right? You're a star player. You're not making them excuses to make your little pet here happy, right? So who are you going to show up as today, this week, next month? When you're in practice, when you're at home, you can be you and love your kids and work on your relationship with your wife and enjoy a home life. But when you get to work, you got to show up as your star player and stop listening to that excuse monster and take the actions that are going to grow your business. Now, there are certain actions that grow your business, and there are certain actions that just make you feel busy. Being busy is not the same thing as being productive. The star player knows the difference. The star player knows that reaching out to attorneys and getting in conversations and building rapport and creating a relationship is a long-term success story for the practice. Listening to naysayers and quitting because you didn't have thick skin and somebody said something to you and you just folded up like a tent and went home, that's listening to the excuse monster. So it's up to you. You can show up as either one of those entities, but when you get to work, you need to become your franchise star player that your staff depends on, your family depends on to grow the practice, generate profits, pay your staff, and have the lifestyle that you've always dreamed for yourself. So that's the difference between showing up as a star player and listening to your excuse monster. And I'm here to help you and give you the framework and the steps to be a star player to grow your personal injury business. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. I know what excuses you're already making before we even talk on the phone. And if I hear that you're addicted to your excuse monster, we're not going to be a good fit. And I'll let you go on your merry way and to continue to live in whatever pain that you're living in and not want to change the trajectory of your business. I want to work with star players, doctors that want to take control and do the work it takes to grow a personal injury practice. Show up as your star player and take your little excuse monster, put him back in his little cage, feed him, leave him alone. Show up as your star player, everyone. You'll change your practice and you'll change your life.